Hey, Gap Math students, this is video notes for Intro to Geometry objectives 16 to 17. So open up your packets. If you don't have your packets, hit pause. Go get that. Then you're going to open this page. So the first thing you're going to see is the section is set up for 16 to 19. But I'm going to make a little change there. We're not going to do if you're Math 9-10, we're not doing this section. Okay. Some of these sections I will be using for Math 11-12, and then I'll make a separate video for 18 and 19. So if you're in Math 9-10 right now, you're only going to have to worry about 16 and 17. So I will show you what problems you should be doing. And then when I give a test, it'll only be 16 and 17. So we're going to start. So again, we're only going to pick and choose some problems here. Number one is one of the topics here. It's going to be from objective 16, area of a circle. So one formula here we need is area of a circle. It's going to equal pi r squared. Okay, and again, they're going to tell you to use 3.14 for pi. R, again, is the radius, which is the center to the outside. Okay. So in this one, they give us a radius. It's 2.1 meters. So we're just going to start filling in what we know here. They say use 3.14 for pi. The radius is 2.1, and that's going to be squared. Okay. So now the key to this isn't that hard if you have a calculator, but the key here is order operations. The common mistake is going to be taking 3.14 times 2.1 and then squaring that. You can't do that. Order operations says exponents first times 3.14. So we're going to leave this here. You're going to do 2.1 squared. So in your calculator or on your calculators on your phones, let me clear this here. I don't know how I clear all that, but anyways, you don't need these numbers over here. Let's see. Oh, that doesn't. Okay. If you turn your phone sideways, you will see this button here. There's more buttons when you turn your phone sideways. So we want to do 2.1 squared. So there's two ways you could do it. 2.1 squared means 2.1 times 2.1. So you could type in 2.1 times 2.1. And you can do that with any calculator. Okay. So that's 4.41. Or you could do 2.1 and then hit this x squared button. And that's the same thing. So it'll give you 4.41. Okay. So that's what goes in here. 4.41. Now you multiply that times the 3.4. So you could just leave the 4.41 in your calculator, hit times 3.4, or sorry, 3.14. Okay, and it will give you 13.8474, which is letter D. Okay. All right. So that's area of a circle. We're going to do the other problems that I want to go over in objective 16. So we're going to be turning the pages around a little bit. So we're going to go and find the page that starts with number 9. So again, a lot of these for Math 9-10 will be kind of extra credit problems. I'll explain that in a bit if you want to do that. Number 9, I'm not going to do this one, but I'm going to start it for you. It's going to end up being just like number 1 we just did. So says find the area of a circle that has a radius of 8 centimeters. So again, the picture doesn't have to be great. You just have to show like that. Okay, and then again, you have the same formula, area equals pi r squared. So it's going to be this. I'm not going to do any more on this problem. You can finish that, but you would do the 8 squared and then times it by 3.14. Okay. Number 10, I just want to go over. It's going to be very similar, but there's one thing you got to be careful for. Okay. So again, we have this formula. Area equals pi r squared. Common mistake here would be people that put 3.14. Oh, I did it again. And then put 3.7 squared here. But this is for r. This is all goes through the center, but all the way across from edge to edge. That is a diameter. Okay. So to get radius from a diameter, it's easy. You take the diameter and just divide it by 2. So to get our radius, we do this and we get 1.85. So from here to any spot on the outside, it's half that, it's 1.85. Okay, so that's what goes in here. Okay, so again, you would take your calculator, either hit 1.85 times 1.85 or 1.85, hit the square button. So if you're doing that along with this, you should get this, 3.4225. Just leave that in your calculator, hit times 3.14. You get 10.74665. Now we don't see the exact answer because they're going to round to 4 numbers past the decimal. So they round to here. Because this is between 5 and 9, that bumps up to the 7. And even if you didn't round correctly, it's the only one that's even close to that. Okay. So those are problems dealing with areas of a circle. Okay. So now we're going to go back to that first page. We're going to talk about surface area. Okay, so we're going to look at number 2. Okay. So what surface area basically is, you're going to add the area of all the faces of the what we call a prism or shape. So there's going to be rectangular prisms, triangular prisms, that type of thing, but it's basically some sort of box. I guess would be the easy term for a prism. So what you have to understand here is all the faces. Now, visually, when you see a three-dimensional drawing, you only see 3 faces. You see we have the front. We can call this the right side, and we can call this the top. Okay, but just know for this shape, if there's a front, there's also a back. If there's a right side, there's a left side. If there's a top, there's a bottom. Okay, so the one way we're going to do this is we just think of it one at a time. So let's, now again, area for these rectangles is just length times width. Okay, so the front, we look right here, we have 11. Now it doesn't label right here, but the height, if the height back here is 12, the height right here is 12. So it's 11 by 12. And that equals 132. Okay. So now, before I move on to the right or the top, I'm just going to say, well, if I have the front, if I want to find the back, you think of a box, the front and the back are exactly the same when you have rectangle sides on all of them. So the back is also 132. Okay, now let's go to the right side. On the right side here, we got 4 and then 12. So that's 48. Okay, now again, if the right side is 48, the left side is 48. Now let's look at the top. Now don't let this confuse you that there's no numbers here. Just look across. If this length or width, this distance is 11, then this distance is 11. Okay, and this distance, if down here it's 4, then up here it's 4. Okay, so the top is 11 by 4. So that's 44. And then the top is that, so is the bottom. Now what you do is you just add all of these up. And I've already done this, so it won't take me time to do this. You're going to get 448. Okay. Now there is, if you like doing kind of more formulas, you could have done, let me draw a line here. You could do it more like this and say, well, we have 2 times the front. And then we're going to go 2 times the right side because of the right and the left. Oops. And then 2 times the top because there's a top and the bottom. You don't have to do it this way, but this would be the same type of thing. So we'd have exactly the same as what we'd have up top. Okay, so you multiply those by 2 and you'd have 264 and a 96 and an 88, and those would equal 448 as well. That's just another way of doing that. Okay, so that's a surface area of a rectangular prism. Turn the page. I'm not going to do this next one for you, but this one's going to be very similar. So there's no picture here, so let's just figure out how we do this. Calculate the surface area of a rectangular solid that is 8 inches long, 5 inches wide, 4 inches high. So again, you don't have to draw a great shape. Okay, like that's not very good at all. But now let's label things. So this was 8, let's say. Across the bottom here, let's say that's 5, and then this is 4. Okay, so if you can label your shape like that, now it's just like the problem we just did. So you're going to have a front and a back, a right and a left, top and a bottom, and you can go ahead and do that one. So, do that problem, check it at the end of the section, see if you're getting it right. If not, that's when you need to ask a question. Okay, or look again at number 2 first and see. Otherwise, ask a question. All right, we got one more type. A lot of these other problems are from objectives 18 and 19, which in this video I'm not going to cover, but I do want to cover one more problem here, one more full problem, and then one hint. So if we keep going here now, number 14. It's another surface area, but now the shape's different. This is called a triangular prism because it has triangle bases and then rectangle sides. So there's not going to be 6 faces of this one. Now we're going to have a front and a back. Okay, and then there's kind of this right side, left side, bottom. There's no real top side when it's sitting this way. Okay, so one thing we need to remember is because we have a triangle here, the area of a triangle, we've done this in other videos, is 1/2 base times height. Okay, so we're going to kind of set it up the same way. Let's look at the different faces. So the front is going to be a triangle. It's going to be 1/2 base times height. So I'm going to take the 1/2, change it to 0.5. Base. Now, be careful here. This is the whole triangle. We have this line. That's going to be the height because it's drawn from a point to the opposite side at a right angle. Now, the height connects to a right angle to the base. Now, the base is this whole piece here. So if this is 5 and this is 5, the base is actually 10. So there's just a little math you had to do there. And then the height, like I said, was 12. Okay. So then you could type all this in at once, or you can do a step, 0.5 times 10 is 5. And we still have the 12. So that equals 60. And again, if you just type this all at once, you'd get 60. Okay. So now that I have the front, the back is exactly the same. So that's 60. Okay, now let's look at the right side. Okay, on the right side is a rectangle. Okay, so rectangle, that's just length times width. So we have 13 and 7. We'll put the answer way over here. So just line up. So that's 91. Now the right side is 13 by 7. So is this, it's going to be 13 here. It's going to go 7 back to this corner. So the left is also 91. Okay, now just don't forget the front and a back. There's a right and a left, but there's also this bottom. Okay, the bottom is a rectangle. Okay, it's got a 10 here and a 7 here. So it's 10 times 7. That equals 70. Okay, we add all those up. Again, I've already done this in my calculator, so we don't have to take the time, but you would take your calculator, hit 60 times, or 60 plus 60, and so on. Okay, and it would be 372. Okay. And then the next, and again, I'll show you which ones of these you should be practicing. The last one I'll give you a hint on is 21. This would be the same type of problem we just did. Okay. So it's going to involve, area of a triangle. It's 1/2 base times height. It'll involve area of a rectangle, just length times width. So just remember here, when you do, I'll set up, if we look at the front and the back, front, that would be the height. They meet at a right angle. This would be the base. So we'd have change 1/2 to 0.5 base times the height. Okay. So again, then you have back. Then you're going to have, I guess you still could call this right side, left side, just to make it the same as the other one. And then the bottom. So you got to find all these pieces. The back will be the same as this one. Then these three will be rectangles. Okay. So again, give that one a try. Check your answer in the back. And then if you're not getting it, let me know and ask a question. So let's go through here. So again, the problems that you'd want to do, if you're just doing 16 and 17 for Math 910, would be these problems. Okay, or to look at. And the ones we did out of that, let me see here. We did 1 and 10. And then for the ones we did 2, was it 14? Okay, so those are all the problems we did. Again, if this is Math 910, just worry about 16, 17 video. And if this is Math 11, 12, then you check back for video 18, 19. Okay, try those. Let me know if you have any questions.